Would you sign a lease to your new apartment if you knew that you was gonna be uncomfortable every single day? I'm Nabilya Forrester, and I like to focus on apartment comfort in New York City. And I believe everyone deserves somewhere comfortable to lay their head. So today I'm walking you through exactly what questions to ask before you fall in love with your apartment. All right, question one. What is the building's history and is it a pattern? Before you fall in love with an apartment, you have to ask one big question: what is the building's history? Because even in beautiful neighborhoods, you can still end up with somewhere uncomfortably drafty and with no heat. I really noticed this when I was house sitting for a person in Park Slope, in this pre-war building that was near Union Street. Beautiful neighborhood, gorgeous area, pricey apartments, but it was freezing even with the heat on. The cold air was literally coming through the windows and it did not make any sense because the windows was closed, girl. And I'm literally sitting there thinking like, you're paying thousands of dollars to live here in Park Slope, and it is so uncomfortable, so cold. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. This is where I started paying attention to building patterns instead of just aesthetics and how they look. Good news is that this stuff is public information and you don't need to guess. So in New York City, you can check the building's history by looking at HPD and DOB's violations online to be able to better see the reoccurring problems that are happening in that building, such as water leaks, mold, um, heating issues. So you know what questions to ask for signing. Let me show y'all how it works instead of doing all this talking. So, step one, you need to start by going to New York City HPD Building Information Search. And for the sake of this video, it's going to be just a random address. So enter the building address, the number, the street, the borough. Okay. You enter that in there in the search bar. Click search. And then after you click search, you should look at the violations or complaints section and see what's active, what's open, how many complaints or violations they have in total. Like if it's a lot of open complaints, that's a red flag. Really check for open violations, especially heating, mold, water leaks. Really look at the complaint history to see patterns that keep showing up. Because multiple complaints in the same category over time definitely equal a red flag. From what I can see, like they have a history of complaints, of court cases about heat and hot water, which can't be good, okay? And it dates all the way back to 2009. Now let's get into step two. Check DOB, Department of Buildings, for violations or work permits. So go to New York City's DOB Building Information Search. Okay. Then enter address. You will start at the top where it says search by property, pick the borough, then the housing number, which is your address, and then you will put in your street. And then after you put in your street, you would click go or search. You will then be able to look at open or closed violations. You can see the complaints and violations towards the bottom of the page and see the total amount each one has. You can see the very complaints that people have sent in, every report on that building. Also, a building with many unresolved DOB violations is a definite caution flag, and definitely ask the landlord or agent about it. Step 3 would be combining HPD and DOB information. Before you even step into an apartment, check the building's history, okay? HPD shows tenant complaints, DOB shows building violations, and multiple open issues. That's a red flag. One violation doesn't mean run, okay? But patterns are what matter. That's why I've turned this into a mini checklist, and if you would like it, it's in the description below. Question 2: is this a one-time fee or a reoccurring fee? This question right here can save people thousands of dollars, because I learned that fees usually go into like two different buckets: one-time fees, reoccurring fees, right? And people usually get them mixed up. One-time fees are usually like a broker's fee, an application fee, or a security deposit. Then you have your recurring fees, like your parking, your utilities, your uh, amenities, uh, and like pet rent. You know, people like have pets, and then you have to like pay for them being there. And this is how easily a $3,000 apartment can easily turn into $3,700 lifestyle. Okay, so before you sign, definitely ask, what else besides rent will I be paying for every month? All right, question 3: what am I responsible for versus what is the landlord responsible for? Because confusion can be expensive, okay? Because if something breaks, who's responsible for fixing it? Is it going to be your responsibility, or is it going to be the landlord's responsibility? Do they fix water damages? Do they fix leaks? Do they fix pest problems? Are they going to change your paint on your wall, or is that your responsibility? Because we're not assuming anything, okay? I'm not saying don't sign, okay? I'm saying don't sign confused, all right? Question 4: will this apartment actually be comfortable long term? Because listings, okay, they tell you about square footage, right? And the rent, right? But what they're not telling people or letting them know is whether, people are going to dread being there in the winter, or just hate being home because of how it feels to live there. A few examples would look like water pressure, heating type, airflow, noise, okay, and uh, outlets and lighting. All right. Comfort issues become money issues later on. Okay. Drafty apartments, bad heating, poor ventilation, stuff like that, you're going to wind up paying for it every month. And because of a lot of this stuff, it's easy to forget, like during a walkthrough or during your apartment hunting online. I created a free apartment comfort checklist. It's linked in the description if you want it, okay? Now, if this helped you, subscribe and share this with somebody that wants to either move to New York or is thinking about moving to New York, because I like to break things like this down as far as renting in New York to make it less overwhelming. And I'm also in the process of getting my real estate license. So, yeah, keep your girl in mind, all right? Because everyone deserves a comfortable place to live.